Welcome to Section H, the multi-beam flashlight. Now, this product, again, like most others, definitely watch the Watch Me Last video, because that's really where the sales pitch is, and where I really talk about the point of this product and this invention and how it might be useful for you, the particular individual that I'm sending this offering to. There will be a product demo video, a Watch Me Third, so the Watch Me Third video will contain the product demo, because I do have a demo of this main embodiment anyway. And this product is mostly really a technology patent, more than anything, so I figured it might be more interesting to somebody that's in the flashlight manufacturing business, like Energizer or somebody like that. Because the multi-beam flashlight itself, and again, you'll see it demonstrated, what it does. And I'm just going to leave the explanation, for the most part, to the demonstration video. But basically, it does consist of a variety of different LED beam angles, and white LEDs, plus some different colors like red and ultraviolet and so forth, which has been done in flashlights before. But the different beam angles actually come in handy, and this is still actually one of my most reached for flashlights, just because I usually have it lying around out on the table, and it does have more light than a lot of my other flashlight inventions had, which you may or may not be privy to seeing. But the fact of the matter is that, but it's kind of a generic flashlight. This design really kind of, I'm not crazy about. I just really did it because I wanted to test what multiple beam angles and LEDs would look like, and to see if it might be useful to have a flashlight that has multiple beam angle lamps in it, instead of flashlights that have adjustable beam angle optics in it, which is really a more expensive option these days, to put some kind of optics in it, to adjust the actual size of the spot, so to speak. Because there are times when you need a narrow beam when you want to cast light at a distance, but there is also a time when you want a wide beam, more of a floodlight, when you're working up close at hand. And it just, this is an attempt to make a flashlight that you can actually use it in all ways at the same time, because each and every beam angle and color actually has its own individual light, so you can get actually quite a bit of light out of this thing if you turn them all on at once, although they do have all varying beam angles, but still it's actually surprisingly useful. But the real point of this patent that makes it valuable, because I almost wasn't even thinking I was going to patent this thing, because I can't find any evidence it's been patented before, but that, I'm not aware of anybody's flashlight being out of the market that does this. But I do have other flashlight technology that does include more than one beam angle, at least two, because I did use some of what I learned off this and some of my other flashlights. So basically I described this, as having more than two beam angles, so it doesn't cause any problems for any other flashlights. But the point is, this has 15 degree, 25 degree, a 55 degree, and 110 degree set of white LED lamps, distributed throughout the face of it, as you can see here, an explosion diagram. Again, I'm not crazy about this design. I mean, I just did this design because I was running out of filament and on my printer, and my original design I thought would be a little too, use up too much time and material. I think embodiment B here was actually one of my earlier designs. This is a later design, this is the earlier design, which would be a more effective hook. These hooks are practically useless. I thought it'd be a nice little grappling hook that you could, like, when you're not wanting to hold your flashlight, you can grapple it to something like a hook, a piece of plywood or, whatever happens to be handy. And that it also acted kind of like a hand protector, but again, I shortened the clips up so much it doesn't work very well. Because the original version was actually longer too than this version. And this version is based, by the way, 12-volt battery pack, basically 8 AA batteries, so to power all these lights and give you a good lifespan out of it. But anyway, I still say this is basically a technology patent, because it's mostly got this concept here, this capacitive pressure sensitive push button. And the idea is to have a push button that has a spring in it, and this could be applied to almost any flashlight actually, that actually has intelligent current control, so you can actually adjust the brightness. You adjust the brightness by pushing in on the button a certain amount, and then the harder you push, the brighter the light, but when you release your finger off the button, it stays at that brightness. So it's a quick way, without fumbling with a bunch of different buttons and so forth, of getting your flashlight up to the brightness. Now the idea is, you'd have this spring being somewhat stiff to press. I mean, it's somewhat stiff of a spring, so you'd have to press fairly hard to get it up to full brightness. So that gives you a good tactile sense and feel for how bright you might want the light. And I fully describe the operation of it in the body of the text. Definitely always read the text on these patent sections. So there's a lot of good information in there that pertains to how this should work in the various ways. But again, and I don't have a prototype of this, so you're not going to see that in the video. This was an afterthought as I was drafting the patent up, that I came up with this idea and included it in there because I was thinking, it might be nice to have every one of these switches work that way, so you can individually control the brightness of the lights. Although it's probably a little excessive. But the point is that a button like this would be a nice, quick, and easy way of setting the brightness of a flashlight. And again, basically, when the light is off, you press in on it. It lights up to a certain brightness based on the pressure you apply, and then when you release it, it stays at that brightness. And if you engage the button again and just give it a really quick tap, it'll turn the light back off again. But if you engage the light again with pressure, you can actually adjust its brightness again without turning the light on and increase the brightness. If it's over 50%, to begin with, or if it's under 50%, it'll actually start from dim and you work your way back up. That's just one way of doing it. But again, I describe a lot of other ramifications in here, about how it might work and so forth. But that's the real jewel, is this special light switch for a flashlight. It really could be an interesting way of controlling a flashlight that actually could become quite popular. And as a technology patent, this could be licensed to a lot of different flashlight manufacturers, if one desired, whoever owns this patent desired. And you can make some money that way, because like I said, I think this really would be a killer way of controlling a variable brightness flashlight. Because sometimes, really it's especially with some of these newer LED flashlights, sometimes they're too damn bright. It'd be nice to be able to tune them down a bit, and not just to help you save on battery life, but also it's just to cut the light down. But then if you combine that with a multi-beam concept too, that really could be a killer application. Although you might want to tone this down to like 3 different LED beam angles. I'm thinking I didn't have any 8-degree LEDs, but an 4 or 8 degree LED would cast a nice long beam. But you could have some high power LEDs maybe do that if you can find them in a beam angle like that. But the idea is the multi-beam flashlight is to keep it as cheap as possible, without having to introduce new optics into it. And that's why you just take advantage of the naturally available selection of beam angles that are out on the market. And I typically use Cree LEDs in my LED circuits, but of course there are a lot of different manufacturers and makes out there, so you can find an assortment of beam angles. But definitely, certainly a 110 degree or so beam angle is certainly warranted in a flashlight like this, as well as a very narrow, long casted beam angle. Like I said, no more than 15 degree or so. And then an intermediate, like 55, anywhere from 25 to 55 degree, as an intermediate, at the very least is what you'd want, as a selection of beam angles from what I've discerned. And you'll see that in the in the demo video, and this is the CAD file for the flashlight that you're going to see demonstrated. So, but again, I'm not crazy about any of these designs. This was quick and dirty. I didn't even think I was going to try to sell it at first, so I was just doing something just for me to play with, but it's actually a pretty useful little light. So on its own, and then you throw the push button technology into it, that actually puts it over the top enough to warrant, you know, a patent or set of patents on. So anyway, without further ado, you know, let's move on to the next video.